I remember the tears streaming down my face, tears of joy, tears of elation, and after so many years, Jamie and I had actually done this thing.
Now, I actually went to Everest 3 times, which is living proof that I am a slow learner. That was until 3.5 years ago when I was diagnosed with cancer of the blood. The good news is I've since had a stem cell transplant, and I have made a 100% recovery.
And I think that really was the essence of Everest for me. It was that, yes, it is possible, and these dreams are possible.
I believe success is 97% preparation, but only 3% execution. Now raise your hand if you can relate to this. Just... You can't relate to this? Well, come on now. Who can relate to working 4 times harder and getting the sense that you're going absolutely nowhere? Just, who can relate to that? Oh. So we're all mountaineers. We've all got our mountains to climb. They might be organizational Everest, as is the case for you. Entrepreneurial Everest for some of you, perhaps, and business partners. Or they could be parenting peaks or marriage mountains. But, you know, no matter how steep the slope on which we find ourselves climbing, no matter how severe the wind, no matter how extreme the cold, we can tie a knot and hang on. But we must always keep climbing. Raise your hand if you're a parent. Okay. Think about the walls that you wouldn't walk through to fulfill the commitment you had made to your children, because at that moment, John's 2 daughters reminded him of a commitment he had made to them prior to leaving for Everest. You see, prior to leaving for Everest, he had promised his 2 daughters he would not die on Everest. He'd come back. He would climb with them. He would adventure with them. He would be with them. And while we were panicking, they were completely calm. They said, "Daddy, don't you forget your promise. We love you, and we want you to come home." And for the first time in 20 minutes, John McIsaac started to move. You could see him groping in the snow for his axe. He grabs his axe, he pushes down on it, he teeters to his feet, he takes a couple of steps, boom, falls on the snow. His girls come right back on the radio to him, "Daddy, we love you. When are you going to be home?" Now, we have all heard the words, "when are you going to be home?" But in that circumstance, they certainly had more presence and definitely more power. And it was almost like they reached down from that saddle in space, they grabbed their dad by the harness, they hauled him out of the snow, and ever so gently, they ushered him onwards. Because 6 hours after John McIsaac reached his high point, he crawled, quite literally crawled, back into our high camp at 26,000 feet, where he was met by our team physician, Dr. Dennis Brown, the chap on the left-hand side of the photograph. Now, we asked Dennis to quantify on a scale of 1 to 10 the severity of John's condition, 1 being fine and 10 being death. He said 9. So 30 seconds later, we did launch a full-blown highway to rescue. We slapped on emergency oxygen, we went up the hillside towards Johnny. We met at 26,000 feet, and we started to shepherd him down the north ridge of Everest, hour after hour after hour. And 4 hours into the rescue, John McIsaac fell unconscious. His pulse and breathing became erratic. He started to froth at the mouth as the liquid in his lungs started to bubble up into his mouth. We weren't sure whether he was alive or dead, but we decided to continue with the rescue anyway. So we did. We loaded him into a harness, into a sleeping bag, and we started to lower him down the North Col slope of Everest, hour after hour.